Right, if you read this magazine, it tells you that the best heated grips available are Ultimate Add-ons Premium, and they're $129.99, or Oxford Hot Grips Premium, and they're $199.99 without fitting. But you can buy grips for as little as £10 and fit them yourself, which I'm going to show you today. Right, so we don't need that. What we have here is heated grips, and they come like this basically from factory. Now I've added a connector there, which is this, and it's called a Yazaki YL series connector. I'll show you how to attach that to the terminal of the grips, so then you can do a factory install on Royal Enfield and BSA bikes. Essentially these are the grips. This is the throttle hand, and this is the adjuster. There's 4 different heat settings, so that's the hottest, and then obviously 3, 2, 1 and off, and they are really hot, so burn your hands hot if you didn't have gloves on. Also, it's good that the switch is actually part of the grip, so you don't have to have that awkward dongle thing that makes your handbars look untidy. Right, I do also use heated gloves. People will say just buy heated gloves, but the problem with these is that they are battery powered and they eventually will run out of battery. These tend to do the top of your hands where the incoming wind is, that wind chill, and then your bottom are covered by the grip. So you're covered all round if you use gloves and grips. The reason we're going to use this connector is so that we can plug this into the switch 12 volt accessory port, which is inside the headlamp bowl of BSA and also Royal Enfield. So that way, even if you park your bike and leave your grips on, you're not going to flatten the battery. Whereas if you wire this directly to the battery, then it will keep drawing current even if your bike is switched off, and then if you go and leave the bike, you'll end up coming back to a bike that won't start. Right, first thing is to undo the headlight Allen key mounts, which are either side of the lower portion of the headlight bowl, and we're going to do a trial fit with the heated grips just to ensure that it all works correctly before we mount on the handlebars. So there's 2 small Allen bolts which you can just remove from either side, and that should then allow you to slide the headlights out like so. This is the advantage of having a LED headlight, because it doesn't have to be jammed into the available space. It actually fits quite easily like that. So very easy to take on and off this type of headlight. And that will allow you access to connect heated grips. Right, this is the plug we're looking for. So you should see the female end of the plug, little green plug there, has a blue and a black wire attached to it. Take the male end of the plug, which we've wired up earlier, and just click the 2 together, and you can see it's kind of a factory install. Now you want to turn your heated grip on, and you'll notice that they won't get hot whilst the bike isn't running. So let's just turn the bike on. Right, take a size 5 Allen key and just remove the bar end weight. Next we're going to remove 2 screws that are underneath this plastic housing. I'm going to take a video on my phone as well, just so you can see exactly where they are. So if you come around to this side, you should be able to see where my screwdriver is just sitting. Now we're going to undo the 2 screws that attach the top of this plastic housing to the bottom. Right, now you'll be able to see this should come loose, and if you just move it out of the way, it will now allow you to access this. You'll see the little cam, as you rotate this here, it's pulling on a cable which is opening the throttle. So you just need to pop this little pin out here. This whole grip should remove in one piece. So you might even be able to do this with your hand, just by dropping this down, rotating it round, and there you go, you've freed up the throttle cable, and that allows you to remove this piece from the handlebar. You may want to use an Allen key just to pop off that little piece at the end there. So just rotate the grip around until you can get that little lobe into the hole there closest to the track there that the cable's meant to sit in. Now you can grease this at the same time if you want to. That's usually good practice. One of Susie's paintbrushes and just a little dab of grease inside the hole there, and perhaps a little bit here. And now I've got the little cam into the hole, and it should simply be a case of reassembling the housing. So it'll only go into one position, but you should then have a little bit of movement in the throttle. Right, on this side, the throttle side, we have a little bracket which is used to adjust the length of free cable, so when you rotate the throttle it doesn't pull on the cable. Now you fit this little bracket, it's very cleverly designed, to the top bolt here on the mirror. So what I'd suggest is just pop it out of the cable, and then that allows you to just remove this 8mm bolt, slot that in, replace the bolt, and then you can play with this to your heart's content, just to give enough slack in the cable so it doesn't pull tight when you rotate the throttle. But the idea is, as I mentioned before, just to secure it with enough free play. I think that way around is preferable. So your idea is to have a U-shaped loop there that pulls up slightly when you rotate the throttle. Right, next we're going to move our attention to the other side. Now this is the stationary grip. So to give you a little bit more space to work with, I would probably take apart the two grips. So there's a little connector in the middle, and now this frees up the second grip so you can work freely without pulling on the cable over there. So same process, we just need to get this bar end off, remove this grip, and then replace it with this one. When you fit the new grip, you just need to make sure that the control for the varying temperatures faces towards you and isn't facing towards the brake lever. Now you want to try and remove the grip, and sometimes you can remove grips just by wrestling them off. Other times you need to insert something like a screwdriver inside the grip. So today it looks like this isn't going to come off easily, so we'll just put a little screwdriver inside, start loosening, just breaking the seal. It might actually help to put the steering lock on. Right, it's important that you don't use grease on the handlebar because it'll stop your new grip being tightly attached. You can, however, use fairy liquid because that doesn't last forever. I think it might benefit from a bigger screwdriver. Which we just need to break the seal, then it will come off. Screwdriver out, and then just rotate. You should be able to free off the old grip. Right, now this particular heated grip, let me just pop the little thing off, as we did with the other one. Now this grip seems to be a nice snug fit for the BSA handlebars. So with a little bit of rotation I should be able to get the grip on. And that's kind of what you want. That's actually perfect. Now if that didn't go on so easily, you could put fairy liquid in, rotate it, and then you'd be able to get it on, and then the fairy liquid would dry and it would be grip tight. But I've just been quite lucky today. If you want to narrow this gap, you can pull the grip a little bit towards the weight. And so you'll have the gap at this end and not at this end, which looks a little bit neater. Right, next you just want to feed these cables together, following the track of the existing control cables. And then this should end up inside the headlight bowl. So hopefully we just be able to slot these, or a little bit of a squeeze, neatly out of the way, behind the headlight. And don't forget you need to connect these back up so that both the grips are joined together. So what we're aiming to do is get this little connector, pull that down. Right, so the idea is to have this go in through one of the back of the headlight grommets. So whichever one you can fit it through, whichever one there's more room, perhaps that one. Okay, so I've gone in through the right hand side grommet and just obviously line up the male and female side of the connector. And then if you just push it together, should, it's hard to do it one-handed, but yeah, you heard an audible click. So that's ready to go. All we need to do now is just tidy up these wires here, and I'm going to use the original rubber cable tidies and just secure this one, which you can see tracks from the grip, secure that one to there, and that way we'll have almost a factory install. Finally, reinstall your headlight. This is going to be a lot easier for me because I have this thin low profile headlight, but it'll still work with the standard BSA headlight. Just slightly plug that in, align. You see there's a little locating mount there, so tuck that under and then use the 5mm Allen key just to secure it by the 2 bolts at the side. Now make sure you don't cross thread these, because that is something that's possible. Should go in quite easily with low resistance. And this does actually benefit the highlight or advantage of having a classically styled motorcycle, because this whole operation to find the 12-volt switch live in the headlight is a lot easier than if you had big plastic fairings. And with a final point, I've decided it's a little bit neater just to omit this in this case and just secure the heated cable to this line here. And if you see, it's still got plenty of room to move, and I'll just use quite a substantial cable tie for that job. Hopefully it'll look quite neat. And then just clip this very neatly. Right, I have run these grips on multiple bikes in all weathers. However, this little connector here, it probably wouldn't hurt just to wrap it in some insulation tape, just to offer a little bit more waterproofing. A little bit difficult to reach, but we'll manage. Right, now, just locate that in there. I would also suggest putting the BSA original grips and any spare parts back in the box, and therefore you can return it to standard if you need to. Right, well that's the heated grips fitted. I'm really pleased with the result. I particularly like the fact that you've got a very inconspicuous switch with 4 different heat settings. We don't need a dongle, we don't need any lights, we don't need any fancy stuff because it's a retro motorcycle. The cost for the kit I've just checked was £5.18 for the heated grips, and the Yazaki YL connector, which is available from automotiveconnectors.com, was £2.34. So the whole install was about £10 for me. Now I have checked, and the AliExpress universal heated grips are now about £9 plus a little bit of VAT, so you're looking at about £11–12. So they have gone up since I purchased these. Now, why on earth would you spend £300 to have a dealer fit heated grips? Or even why would you buy off-the-shelf grips that are £199.99? It's just, in my opinion, a bit of a rip-off. Now, some people will say you can wire the heated grips to the battery and buy a Tech Thunder box, which basically detects when the bike is running and won't draw current outside of those parameters. That protects your bike from having a battery drained by leaving grips on. However, you don't need to buy all that technology because Royal Enfield and BSA have a 12-volt switch live. So with a little bit of effort, you don't even need to spend on the Tech Thunderbox device. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed the video and let me know what you think. I'm very happy and I'm going to have toasty hands going into the winter. Right, I will show you how to assemble the connector because it arrives like this from the store. So it says 2-way Yazaki YL series connector, kit, male, including terminal and seals. So what we do first, turn the soldering iron on. This is just a hobby soldering iron from Lidl. You don't need anything special. First of all, we're going to wet the sponge. Okay, just slot that in there. Then we're going to take a little stretch of wire for demonstration purposes. So this is 8-amp wire available from Halfords. You could use less than 8-amp cable if you wanted. Now we're going to just remove a little bit of the sheath using some simple wire cutters. And you only want about 3 or 4 millimeters removed from the end, and we'll come to that in a minute. So I just spin this round and just pop it off, and you'll see exposed, pardon me, you'll see exposed copper at the end there. Right, take out your kit, and this is the top of the connector, so it slots in, it slots in that way, and then a little pin holds it into place with the green connector on the bike. So what you want to end up having is a cable going in there, and that's your terminal end. So we have little rubber seals that we're going to fit, so I'll just demonstrate. I'll fit one for you. And so you're going to put this over the cable and just slide this up the cable like so. But because we're going to be soldering and that's rubber, I'm going to move that down for now. So just move that out of the way for now. Right, next we've got this little metal pin. And I'm going to take my phone just to show you it in a little bit more detail, because it might be helpful for somebody. This is the area where, this is a piece of solder, so that's the area where you want the cable to sit. The rest of it you want to leave intact. You don't want solder up here, because these little flanges here actually locate that metal inside the plastic housing. Okay? So what I like to do is just to fold those little arms over the exposed copper, just to hold it in place. So one, go on. Right, the idea is just to hold that in place so you can apply solder. Let's put it into the clamp. You can get so far of it. So that just shows the cable end located into the connector. Next job is just to drop a bit of solder into there. A little blob of solder there, just holding that exposed copper in place. Right, that looks great. So next, I'm just going to take this in the upright orientation, which is the opening at the top, and then what you want to do is just slide this in like so, and you see it's coming through the other side. Slide it in and it'll click, and then that's actually firmly located, and then just push a little seal up, which then sits into there. And that's how you build up the connector. Obviously do the other side in brown for neutral, sorry, black for neutral. But the connector should end up looking like this. Of course, you need to join this connector on to the terminal ends of the heated grips. And you can do that just by, again, same process, removing the sheath, joining the wires together and applying a little bit of solder. If you're not confident doing that, then you've obviously got the connecting block option. And then finally, if you really don't have one of these, you could actually just twist the cables together and cover in insulation tape. So if you've got any questions about that connector, again, it's called the Yazaki YL series connector kit male from automotiveconnectors.com.